I learned of my uncle's passing 3 months ago. We weren't particularly close, but he left me one of his houses in the will. I was touched but honestly just wanted to sell it off as soon as possible. I'm a new father of twin girls and don't need another headache to right now. To speed up the process, I traveled across the country to live in the house until a sale was assured. My job just required a laptop and phone, so I was approved to work remotely for the time being. Unfortunately, my wife had to stay at her job, so I came alone. At first, I treated it as a mini vacation. While I had planned on only staying a few weeks, I didn't mind the process being more involved than I thought. My realtor took care of most things for me, and I'm still at the house a month later. I did notice strange things about the house right away. Stuff was never where I last placed it. I'd see shadows out of the corner of my eye. I lost track of time constantly. I thought it was caused by stress and loneliness. Except for the few times the realtor came by with prospective buyers, the house was the quietest place I had ever been in. Before I completely lost my mind, the neighbor came by with a dog. She was an elderly woman who explained that she had been dog sitting while my uncle was in the hospital. Now that I was here, she thought I should take Buster, the golden retriever. I thought the neighbor might have been forgetful because she seemed to think my uncle had just passed last week. Either way, I fell in love with Buster, and his presence was exactly what I needed. I even thought it would be a tremendous present to bring home to my girls. I just hoped my wife would feel the same way. However, even the dog could tell something was wrong with the house. Buster accepted his new living arrangements pretty quickly but would never willingly go upstairs. This was all right with me at the time. I thought it would make it easier to keep track of him. Then, Buster disappeared. Literally, 1 second he was standing right behind me as I was opening the treat jar to give him a snack. My eyes left him for just a moment to put the jar back, and then he was gone. I ran through the whole house calling his name. The kitchen is connected to the living room, on the other end of which is the master bedroom and study. The other end of the kitchen leads to a dining room, which is connected to the entrance hall. That leads to the living room and stairs to the second floor. After walking upstairs, you have a choice of right or left along a balcony that overlooked the living room on one side and entrance on the other. Going left leads immediately to a guest room and game room. Going right leads to 2 more guest rooms and a bathroom at the end of the hall. I looked in every room and had to accept that somehow the dog made it outside, even though there is no doggy door and every door and window had been closed and locked. So I searched the surrounding neighborhood before giving up after an hour. I was thinking about making flyers as I opened the front door and heard Buster scrambling towards me from the kitchen. I was ecstatic, of course, but I couldn't wrap my head around how I could have missed him. I let Buster sleep in the bed with me that night and every night since. Things picked up at work though, and I soon forgot about all the strangeness surrounding the house. Clients were calling me constantly, but I got a lot done. I landed multiple large contracts and soon was working around the clock. But I knew I'd be due a promotion once I returned to the home office. Several times I'd get lost in a phone call or spreadsheet and suddenly find that it was nighttime. I'd be so absorbed with work that I would block out Buster whining for food or to go outside. I started to set alarms to keep track, but I had too many important clients to slow down. I was on top of the world, but my health started to suffer. I'd forget to eat and even sleep sometimes. There was always something else to do or someone to talk to. I soon was taking better care of Buster than I was of myself. Then my good mood ended with a bang. Literally, Buster was whining behind me as I finished another spreadsheet. Then we both heard a door slam upstairs. For the first time since I brought him inside, Buster ran upstairs all by himself. I almost called the cops, but I felt silly when I had the phone in my hand. I tried to convince myself that I hadn't really heard anything at all. I mean, if there were an intruder, surely Buster would have been making more noise. So I mustered all the courage I could manage and crept upstairs with frying pan as my weapon. It was dark upstairs, but enough moonlight came in from the downstairs windows that I could make out Buster, standing in front of the bathroom. I had purposely closed every door when I last came up here, but this door was now wide open. I flipped on the hallway light, but nothing happened. With no better ideas, I raised my frying pan high and walked slowly to the bathroom. There was no window in here, so it was pure darkness inside. I was terrified. Bizarrely, Buster seemed frozen in place. His tail stood straight up and he was pointed towards the door. I tried to take it as a good sign that he still hadn't barked. That's what finally got me through the threshold and into the bathroom. The whole time my eyes were getting used to the darkness, and I quickly realized the bathroom was too small for anyone to be there without me noticing. I started to relax when I took a step forward into something sticky. I suddenly realized that I had my cell phone in my pocket. I pulled it out and turned it on to cast some light on the floor. I immediately dropped it at the sight of the bright red liquid that surrounded my feet. Even though I only had a glimpse at the floor, the image of a blood-red line slowly filling the groove between tiles was burned into my eyes. I fled the upstairs and this triggered Buster to follow. I had no trouble calling the police when I made it back downstairs. Thankfully, there was already a patrol car nearby, so 2 officers arrived within a couple of minutes. Their powerful flashlights cut through the darkness like knives, but they soon found nothing was wrong with the upstairs lights. Instead, something was wrong with my pipes though. They called out from above that the puddle was just rusty water. Because of their insistence, I climbed up the stairs again and clearly saw a muddy brown puddle in the bathroom. The banging must have been from a pipe breaking. Both cops had a laugh at my expense but were otherwise understanding. They even gave me a number of good plumber, though my cell phone was ruined after I dropped and left it in the puddle. I would have to use the one landline in the kitchen from now on. I saw them out and promised to call the plumber first thing in the morning. Yet, as exhausted as I was, I couldn't go to sleep, not after all that excitement. I stayed up to draft some more important documents for my company. Before I knew it, Buster had made another mess in the living room. I was dead tired and said things to Buster that maybe I shouldn't have, and I did some things that I know I really shouldn't have. I decided to do something about the stress I had been under, and I spoke to my supervisor that next morning. To my surprise, they were happy to let me have the week off as a sort of mental vacation. Just like that, all my outstanding work was taken away. With nothing else to do, I was finally able to focus on Buster. I played games with him and fed him a bunch of treats to make up for my earlier neglect. Then I found the first message. I didn't notice it for some time since I had been avoiding the second floor. But I suddenly realized that I had never gotten around to calling the plumber. Before doing so, I went upstairs to see if things had gotten any worse. Instead, I immediately saw a message written in red on the hallway wall. It read, "Losing your mind?" For a second, I kinda did. I was scared to death at the thought that someone had to sneak into my house while I was there. Probably when I was sleeping.